Okay, so the Eagles and Cowboys are about to face off, and just ahead of the matchup, it seems like Nick Sirianni and the Birds leaked some completely unexpected news regarding quarterback Jalen Hurts, and it's not exactly ideal. Meanwhile, it seems like one team has the clear advantage in this game, as not only do the Birds have the edge in many key areas, but they also made a key change to their offense just a few weeks ago that should have the Cowboys terrified. Plus, we also got a behind-the-scenes look into how that change came about. Meanwhile, the Eagles got some huge injury updates that have the potential to drastically change this game, but the same thing can also be said about the Cowboys, so we're going to talk about that and all the other latest news heading into the Birds matchup with the boys starting right now. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan, and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles, and we are just a couple days away from the Birds matchup with the Cowboys in Dallas, and it's going to be a very fun and important rivalry matchup, and also a huge opportunity for the Eagles to just continue to build momentum and trend up. But before we get more into that matchup, I do want to spotlight one player that has really been trending upwards all season, and that's linebacker Nakobe Dean, as there was obviously a lot of uncertainty surrounding him after how things went last year, and he wasn't even guaranteed to start coming into the year, but since week one, he's just proved himself and gotten better and better to the point where he's been one of the highest graded linebackers in the entire NFL over the past few weeks. And just last week, he had the game-winning interception for the Eagles versus the Jaguars in a game that he was actually mic'd up for. And what's super cool is that Dean actually called out that play that he ended up getting the interception on way back in the first quarter of that game.
Come on, baby. Game on our shoulders. Game on our shoulders.
Jacksonville trails by 5.
We might get that red zone. Running back, stutter go.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for it all week.
Keep your eyes on his hips.
Yeah.
Keep your feet active. Don't let your feet die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
2 on the clock. There's plenty of time for the Jags to do whatever they want.
Lawrence has time, looking for Johnson, and it's picked off! Nakobe Dean!
That's a hell of a good play, boy. I'm so proud of you, man. That's a hell of a play, man. Hey, I've been waiting for that all game. That's the same. That's the same play Saquon scored on.
I don't know about you guys, but I just thought this was so awesome. I mean, first off, I thought Jalen Hurts' calm reaction was great, but it also was just so cool to hear that Dean knew that that specific play was going to come at some point in the game, and he stayed ready for it until it eventually did come in the most crucial moment, and he was all over it, and he made the play to get the interception. I mean, I think it just goes to show you how much preparation these guys go through and how many different things they got to be thinking about and be ready for during a game, so shout out to Nakobe for calling this play out and staying ready until he eventually made this game-winning play. And now he and the Eagles defense are going to look to continue to trend up and build momentum this week versus a Cowboys offense that is both struggling and dealing with some injuries. So obviously, it's been well documented that quarterback Dak Prescott is dealing with a hamstring injury that is expected to keep him out for a few weeks, including, of course, this game against the Eagles. So it'll be backup Cooper Rush leading the offense for Dallas in this matchup. And as I said in my video yesterday, I do think Rush is probably one of the better backups in this league. So while he's obviously a clear step down from Prescott, he still is very capable of putting together a good game, so the Eagles cannot take him lightly. And just ahead of the matchup, Nakobe Dean actually talked about how the Cowboys offense may look with Cooper Rush in there instead of Dak.
Well, you know, he hasn't really played too much this year, but we noticed that the offense really don't change much. You know, as far as the way they run it, you can tell they trust him. You can tell he's smart. He up there reading coverages, making checks. He's just doing everything that He's doing stuff that you wouldn't think that running the offense a way that you wouldn't think a backup would run it, you know. But we also looking at, you know, everybody, all the quarterbacks that they got.
It certainly doesn't sound like the Eagles expect the Cowboys to make any big changes to their offense this week, despite a difference at quarterback, and that should work to the Eagles' advantage, as if you know anything about the Cowboys' offense this year, you know they simply are not good at running the football, as they're the second worst team in the entire league when it comes to that, and you know that pretty much all their success has come through the air with Dak at the helm. But obviously now they don't have him in there, and even though I do think Cooper Rush is one of the better backups in the league, it is going to be very tough to ask for him to just go out there and pretty much put the offense on his back in this one, especially when they've already struggled as a unit, even with Dak in there, and also with them facing an Eagles defense that has been getting to the quarterback at a high level and has also finally been forcing some turnovers. Plus, to make matters worse for Rush, it seems like they'll probably be without their future Hall of Fame guard Zack Martin in this game, as he's missed practice throughout the week while dealing with a shoulder injury, so unless something drastic changes today, it seems like Martin will probably be out for the matchup, and even though Martin has not been as good this year as he has been in the past. This still obviously would be a big blow to the Cowboys' pass protection unit, and it would make things even harder for Cooper Rush while going up against an Eagles front that, like I said, has been hot lately. And on top of that, something else that worst case scenario could make things even harder for Cooper Rush is that the Cowboys have also been dealing with an injury to star receiver CeeDee Lamb, as he went down with a shoulder issue in their loss to the Falcons this past week, and he has been limited in practice since. But the good news for Dallas fans is that it seems like Lamb could possibly be on track to play, at least based on some comments that he made, as he at least says that he's feeling better since the injury happened, as on Thursday he said, quote, "The shoulder is much better than it was on Sunday, I can tell you that. I feel like I've taken a big step throughout the week in these last 2 or 3 days. I'm good." So based on that, it certainly does sound like CeeDee will play, and of course, we'll get a more concrete update later today when the Cowboys release their final injury report. If I had to guess, I'd say CeeDee's probably going to be listed as questionable, but again, we'll just have to wait and see, and you guys probably honestly already know by the time you're seeing this. And also, a similar thing can be said for Cowboys star edge rusher Micah Parsons, who also looks to be trending towards a return, as he's been back at practice this week for the first time since suffering an ankle injury in Week 4 against the Giants, and as I said yesterday, so far, most signs point to him making his return to action this week against the Eagles. And if he were to play, that would obviously make this matchup with the Cowboys defense a lot more difficult, because there's no denying that Parsons is a game changer and he's their best defensive player, and he obviously provides a major boost to their pass rush. But again, like Lamb, we'll just have to wait and see what the final injury report says today. And if I had to guess, personally, I think he'll be listed as questionable going into the game and he'll end up playing, but again, we'll just have to wait and see on that. But regardless of whether Micah is playing or not, I'm still going to be very confident in the Eagles offense to just outplay the Cowboys defense in this game, as on top of the Eagles offense looking better and better and continuing to trend up week after week, the fact of the matter is that Dallas's defense has just not been very good this season, as they're ranked 27th in yards and 31st in points, so this should be yet another golden opportunity for Jalen Hurts to continue to build on the momentum that he's gained over the past several weeks and have another great performance. But ultimately, I think this is a game where the Eagles should and will lean on their run game and Saquon Barkley to dominate, as the Cowboys rank 30th in the NFL in rush defense, so it's clear they cannot stop anybody on the ground this year. Meanwhile, the Eagles offense has the second best rushing attack in the league, and Saquon Barkley has been on another level, so safe to say this is a perfect recipe for Saquon to just go off and for the Eagles to really control this game and the clock through the run game. And maybe a little earlier in the season, he might question whether the Eagles would actually stick with the run game or not in a game like this, but ever since the bye week, that has not been an issue, as that's when the Eagles offense made a big change to truly commit to the ground game, and they've placed a bigger emphasis on running the ball early and often, and it's really paid off. And for a Cowboys defense that can't seem to stop the run this year, that should be a little scary. And also to add some context for the Eagles, it seems like the reason for that change comes down to when some of the players on offense spoke up and asked the coaches to make a switch, which was a report that we talked about last week. But this week, Eagles injured offensive tackle Jordan Mailata gave us even more insight on that, as he gave us this behind the scenes look into how things went down on WIP.
What was it like working with Nick during the bye week on maybe trying to figure out what you guys could do better?
I think when you have a relationship with Coach Sirianni, with Nick, it's easier to come forward and tell him, we weren't frustrated or what everybody thinks we're
Wasn't
pissed
some
off.
tense situation.
We weren't pissed off,
Right?
But we knew that we could go to him and have these conversations, just talk about what we think we should do. Well, not even that, just realize, they can realize you have a great offensive line too. You don't just have A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Saquon, Jalen, Dallas. You have your offensive line as well, and you can lean on us whenever you want to. And they were pretty, attentive.
There was no pushback. There was no pushback. No pushback because you guys on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you have a relationship, there's no pushback. It's just a conversation. It's just a conversation, just like how we're doing it right now. And, it's up to coach and the coaching staff to, did they listen or did they hear?
Yeah, gotcha. Gotcha.
Did they listen or were they hearing?
I think it's clear that the coaches did listen to Mailata and the players when they did have those conversations during the bye week, because coming out of it, we obviously saw gradual big changes to the offense, including much more of an emphasis on the run game and leaning on that offensive line more than they did in the first 4 games, and it's clearly paid off. And overall, I just think this whole thing is awesome because it shows what kind of culture the Eagles have. For the players to feel like they can come to their head coach and their coaches and speak up about things they feel strongly about is a great thing by itself, but then when the coaches actually listen to the players and take it seriously and and then make changes as a result, that's a different level, and I think it shows you a great culture and connection within this Eagles team. And I think Nick Sirianni also does deserve a lot of credit for not just brushing this off and actually listening to what his players had to say, and now obviously we see them doing a lot better as a result of these changes, so drop a like down below for that. And also, while you're at it, if you are enjoying this video and you don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this coming throughout the rest of this entire season, then make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. Trust me, you guys are not going to want to miss any of the Eagles content I got coming on this channel throughout the rest of this season. I cover the Birds pretty much daily here, so if you do want to stay up to date on all the latest Eagles news, this is the spot for that. So again, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and also again, hit the like button as well to help show some support. Let's see if we can get to 700 likes today. Now with all that being said, let's get back into the video. Now, like the Cowboys, the Eagles also have some injuries that they've been dealing with ahead of this game, but for the most part, just ahead of the final injury report going up, things seem to be trending in a positive direction, as all the guys that were a part of the long list of limited participants on Wednesday, besides Fred Johnson, were upgraded to full participants in Thursday's session, and that includes guys like Mekhi Becton, Bryce Huff, Darius Slay, Josh Sweat, and many more. And probably the most notable name on the list of full participants was A.J. Brown, as he obviously suffered a knee injury in the Jags game that caused some concern when it initially happened, and people were wondering if maybe he could miss any time or not, but based on this update, it certainly seems like he won't, and he'll be good to go for this game. And then to add on to the good news, all the guys that were listed as out on Wednesday were upgraded to limited on Thursday, and that of course includes edge rusher Nolan Smith, who is dealing with a groin injury, so glad to see that he seems to be trending in the right direction, as he's been an important piece for the Eagles defense over the past few weeks. And it also includes DeVonta Smith, who was out with a hamstring injury on Wednesday. And honestly, when he initially popped up on the injury report with the hamstring specifically, that did worry me a bit, just because we've seen hamstring injuries keep some guys on this team out for a few weeks this season specifically. But with Smitty returning to practice, it seems like he's okay, and he's probably trending towards playing this Sunday as well. And if he does play, along with AJ, as it looks like is going to happen, that obviously changes how the Eagles will approach this matchup from an offensive standpoint, as even though they should run the ball heavily either way, there's no secret that having AJ Brown and DeVonta Smith in there completely changes the dynamic of the offense. Now obviously, we will get a much more concrete injury update on these guys when the final injury report comes out later today, but if I had to guess, I think Smitty and Nolan have good chances of playing, along with of course all the other guys who were full participants on Thursday, so it seems like this Eagles team is going to be pretty healthy on Sunday. That being said though, Eagles fans did just possibly get a very surprising piece of injury news today, and a somewhat scary one at that, as it involves quarterback Jalen Hurts. As back on Wednesday, Hurts was limited with what the team had deemed as just a rest day and load management, but this morning, Nick Sirianni had a press conference where he was asked why they decided to rest Jalen that day, and it led to this very weird exchange where Sirianni may have let it slip that Hurts actually has been dealing with an ankle injury.
We haven't really seen Jalen be held back for load management before. What was behind that on Wednesday?
Yeah, you know, he's dealing with it was on the injury report, dealing with the ankle, and you know, just making sure we're precautious with everything.
What's wrong with the ankle? He wasn't on the ankle. I'm sorry, Jalen Hurts. It was an ankle?
What's that?
It was the rest.
That was the rest, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No problem.
I thought you were talking about something else. All right.
Is Jalen dealing with an ankle problem?
No, rest.
Yeah, safe to say that was a little strange, as it certainly seems like Sirianni did in fact just leak that Jalen Hurts was dealing with an ankle injury that he was working through, which obviously is kind of scary news for Eagles fans, just because for Philly to accomplish anything this year, Jalen Hurts is going to have to be healthy, and 100% healthy at that. That being said though, Hurts of course was a full participant on Thursday, and he practiced today as well, and he's going to play this week versus the Cowboys, so it seems like whatever he was dealing with isn't too serious, and he's possibly completely worked through it at this point, and I don't think we really should be too concerned about this injury unless it starts really becoming apparent and affecting his play on the field, but until then, I think we just have to stay calm about it. And overall, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about this matchup too, as I think the Eagles match up well with the Cowboys on both sides of the ball, and they have the clear advantage in many areas, and I expect a big day from the defense and also Saquon Barkley on the ground. And overall, I'm going to take the Eagles to get their first win in Dallas since 2017 by beating the Cowboys 33-17. But what do you guys think? Give me your score predictions down in the comments below. And also, while you're at it, again, if you don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content coming throughout the rest of the season, make sure you subscribe and also turn on notifications. And also, again, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support. If you did enjoy this video, it really does help me out a ton, and it's completely free. So again, just hit the like button. Let's see if we can get to 700 likes today. And also, if you want to watch another Eagles video going over some news from earlier in the week, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.